Welcome back to Implicit Bias. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We have a great crew for you here in the TSPL. That's the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair somewhere in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana. We also have now the voice and the face from the ether. And I'm trying to figure out, we got to come up with a solid nickname for John. Because now we can see the president of the Dania Beach Bourbon Club, John Mode, who is joining us from that location. We can bring in remote guests now. It's awesome. But we need a nickname for him, Caleb. So I'm going to let you start thinking on that, Caleb.
Well, I mean, he was a Navy vet, so all kinds of other terms come to mind. We'll get there.
Coast Guard.
Well, okay. Yeah, you're right.
I
thought boats. So yeah, okay. I apologize.
See, I
didn't mean to upgrade you.
Well, I'm about to say you were probably thinking like the true Navy nickname, which is like Squid.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking more like Beluga. Love you, John. Love you. All right, let me go to the rest of the crew here in the TSPL. At the bar, we have Alan Rawls of KMLB up in Monroe, our Monroe affiliate. It's a pleasure to have you here, Alan. We also have Renee Girard, Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist, also known as Drunkle. Okay, so this week.
I've got it.
What?
I've got it. What do you call those white birds that fly around like cockroaches in the sky?
Seagulls?
John Modes. Yeah. So we'll use that. That could be his nickname.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried, John.
We'll get there.
So this week, and this is one where I have to dive in because this is really where we start. I mentioned in the monologue that we had to go through all the bad stuff. We have to prepare the way. We have to say what's coming. We have to talk about what's coming. But in a lot of ways, the people who were doing bad things are, in essence, preparing the way. Because it's the bad things that they're doing that's making good people realize we don't want this. And one of those bad people in our implicit bias is the CEO of Axios Media, who at a media convention got all uppity and wanted to send a message to Elon Musk. Because Musk actually went and tweeted to everyone on the X platform, "You are the media now." And this CEO said, "No, you are not the media. X is not the media. It is not the media." Well, guess what? If you thought Axios was the media in the first place, you got some splaining to do. Because Axios is nothing more than a propaganda wing of whoever's funding them. Because that's all it is. But I want to take this to the crew because what we learned in the last couple of weeks is that we actually had an unfortunate, successful assassination in the last couple of weeks. The media didn't find him. You did. The FBI didn't find him. Some employee at a McDonald's found him. And we're going to go down that rabbit hole in the next segment of, is this actually the right guy? Do we buy that story? Whatever. But the reality is we knew more about this guy within 45 minutes of the assassination than the media was telling anybody in hours. So I'm curious as to what we think about how media is evolving, because guess what? The traditional big national media outlets, you ain't it anymore.
Well, would it be media evolving, or is the media devolving and communication is now starting to be used in a better manner? Because that's what's happening is people, even though we're disassociated with one another, we're communicating better. And some of the information that normally would get suppressed is getting out there.
That's a great point, because it was always one of the criticisms of social media was that we're not using it the way it's intended because people can share information. We can do all these things. And instead, what you have are, the Haktua girl scamming millions of dollars off of people with some meme coin. What you get is some girl going on social media who thinks she wants to have, as Eddie Murphy would say in The Nutty Professor, relations with 100 people in one day on social. I mean, this is what social media has become. But now what we are getting is people actually communicating viable, important information that devolves the media. Because guess what? Even if 5% of the U.S. population turns into legitimate quasi-factual reporters. 5% of 360 million is what? So 10% would be 36 million. So 18 million? CBS, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, MSDNC, they can't have 18 million reporters out there. We can. Renee?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's 330 million people in the U.S. When the pictures of the assassin came out, they put it out on the big medias. Everybody and saw those pictures. So, I don't know how many FBI agents were looking for this guy, but you had 330 million people out there, and it was an employee at McDonald's that saw him.
Allegedly.
And made the call. But that's what people are supposed to do. And the media, everything is media. Anytime you get word out, whether it's me talking to you or me talking to 100 people or the television broadcast talking to, MSNBC, like 5 people, it just depends.
Ring the bell. It's true.
Mika and Joe, they're losing people like crazy. But media is just communication. Like Caleb said earlier, it's just communication now.
Well, this is the NIPRNet, the non-secure internet, right? It's called Nipper. And when you look at the information, the data getting put out, and I don't want to jump the gun on some of the communication that we'll have on him, what we believe, what I believe, and what I don't believe.
Yeah, we'll get into that in the next segment.
But like the data that's out there, the information that's out there, to be able to recognize somebody from their eyebrows, like.
Well, hold on. No. You can't. That's a bad example,
Caleb,
because the eyebrows in some of the pictures don't necessarily. But we'll talk about that.
They had a good photo of the guy when he dropped his mask and everything when he was flirting with the girl at the hostel. Mm-hmm. So
you mean the Starbucks? Yeah, the hostel.
Yeah, anyway. The hostel. Yeah, it's hostel in Starbucks.
Okay, so Alan, you see this from a little bit of a different perspective because you are still involved in media in more of a traditional form maybe than we are, but you're still not the national mass media. So I'm curious as to your thoughts on this and the comment of "you are not the media, we are" by the CEO of Axios.
I think of the term citizen journalist as the big, you're a citizen journalist, you're going out there and you're trying to give information to people, whether it's good information or not. I picked that up from Caleb earlier about just us communicating with people in general. It's not always good, as we said. Sometimes it's just throwing something on the wall, seeing what sticks. And this happened to stick with someone, luckily recognizing the guy. Going through journalism school, you, as I did unfortunately do that, you...
Don't worry, so did I. It's okay.
And it definitely has changed over time. While I was taught actually good ethics on how to do it, I can definitely see now that no, the traditional media per se has gone away. The traditional mass media of gathering information, it's just coming from the general public now. That's all you really see.
So, John, what about you? I know you're out there in the ether. I don't know if you're visible right now, and if you are, you've been visible too long, but that's a whole nother story. What are your thoughts on this Axios CEO giving us this comment?
So my thought is, before the printing press, you would go to the town square and you would speak your piece. And those who couldn't read could listen to the words of someone who could write. Then we had the printing press and which validated the newspaper system. And when you have something like an assassination, which you know for a fact the news is going to blur, right? So the news is going to put this blurry big square on the entire video. You'll see absolutely nothing. The first place you go is X.
And
X
you saw the whole thing. You saw the whole ugly mess. Yeah.
Matter of fact, when they had first announced, when I got that notification on my phone that Donald Trump had originally been shot at his rally, I went immediately to X because I knew for a fact the media would not play that image. And I wanted to see what actually happened.
So I think this all ties into what my real deep thought is on all of this, especially with somebody like Axios, because they've had it for so long. The media, the mass media, the industrialized media, The media industrial complex, that's maybe a better way to put it. The media industrial complex is so afraid that they are no longer going to be able to be the news, that they will do everything they can to shut down X, to discredit everyone else, to say, oh, this isn't right, to do whatever they can to protect their little fiefdom. Because they've had this fiefdom for now the better part of, call it 70 years, 80 years, beginning of television. I'm a firm believer that what's on TV is called programming for a reason. Because that's what they want you to see. That's what they believe you should be emulating. And it's a way to craft society because you will emulate what you think is popular. And I think they're so scared of losing that power that all of a sudden we get that power back, not just through government, but through communication, that it scares the hell out of them. Renee, I think you want to lean in over there.
Yeah. The thing is, I want to correct you a little bit. It's been more than 70 years. It's over 100 years because all of the majors, NBC, ABC, CBS, they started out as radio.
Yeah.
And they still do radio broadcasts in those networks. TV was just an addition. But they still all follow that same background, and they don't want to lose their fiefdoms. They think that they are still the big three. They're the only ones. I mean, MSNBC, what's the last three letters? Part of NBC. It's all divisions of the big three.
And the really crazy part is if you go look at all the entertainment channels, take a guess who owns them as well.
Yep. Same people.
Disney owns ESPN, ABC, and you start looking at all the conglomerates that they own. Look at NBC. General Electric at one time owned all of it. The one thing they don't own, though, is what's coming back in just a minute. They don't own your implicit bias.